Wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sanjay Agnihotri, publisher of Canadian Immigrant Magazine. Very honored to be here today. Welcome to the Canadian Immigrant Web Conference Series in partnership with Access Employment and Career Pathway with CARE Center for Internationally Educated Nurses. I know folks are still streaming in on different platforms and on this one as well, but we'll kick it off. Very thrilled to have everyone join us for this industry-specific web conference for internationally educated nursing and medical professionals. Please note, this will be recorded and posted on our website to watch for those who cannot attend in person this afternoon. My name is again Sanjay Agnihotri, publisher of Canadian Immigrant. During this three-part web conference, I will be joined with speakers from across the nursing and medical field, all here to help you on your journey to a career in nursing or medical profession. Before we start our session with our first speakers, we have a short video to share with you from our sponsors, Western Union, who supports Canadian Immigrant and allows us to run these free events and webinars for newcomers across the country. But now let's get started. I'm actually here joined with Ramya, my colleague, who is the editor of Canadian Immigrant, who will take over after our first speakers. But let me just quickly kick it off. Ramya, welcome. Let's get started with our first speakers from Access Employment. We are thrilled to have with us Hani Abelbasit and Carolina Ramos, both from Access Employment, and will be speaking on the Healthcare Connections program at Access Employment. If you have any questions for them, please feel free to type them in the Q&A box or the chat feature. We will try our very best to get to all the questions during this webinar. In the meantime, thank you both for joining us today, and please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay, for the introduction. Thank you, everyone who is in this call. It's a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon. I'll share my screen, and then we can go over the presentation. Oops, sorry. Let's go. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Yep.
So thank you for joining us. It's an honor to be here again. I truly appreciate. Thanks everyone who is attending this conference. I hope you have a great time. Welcome to the Healthcare Connections information session, and I hope everybody's doing great. All right, the agenda for today's information session, we will start with introduction, and then we will talk about the Access Employment, the organization, and the Healthcare Connections program. And at the end, we will answer some of your questions you might have. So now here we are, me and my colleague. I'm Carolina Ramos. I'm employer liaison. I've been working in Access for over 1 year in the Healthcare Connections program. I'm a human resources professional. I support internationally educated healthcare professionals as they seek meaningful careers in the Canadian healthcare sector. I have a master's degree in healthcare, and I have over 7 years experience as a nurse in a hospital setting. I used to work with children with congenital heart disease in a critical care. And after the master's degree, I worked over 7 years as a college instructor in nursing programs. So what I have to say here is that I immigrated 6 years ago, and I understand the journey, the challenges, some questions and concerns you might have. And going to a career transition is a journey, but you are not alone. So now I will ask my colleague to introduce himself. So please kindly introduce yourself, Hani.
Thank you, Carolina, and thank you for everyone for having us here today. My name is Hani Abelbasit. I'm actually a pharmacist by education, and I spent the past decade of my career in pharmaceutical sales and training, both globally and locally. I've been living and working in Canada for the past 5 years. I have a strong academic background in pharmaceutical sciences as well as adult learning principles, and that's why I decided to dedicate my time to help healthcare professionals and newcomers like yourselves. So thank you so much, Caroline.
Thank you, Hani. All right, so I would like to introduce you Access Employment. So for those who don't know the organization, Access is a leading employment services organization that provides innovative programs to job seekers and employers. We have 7 locations across the Greater Toronto Area, GTA, and we work with over 40,000 job seekers each year. And we have over 3,200 employers in our network. We additionally have 35 plus years of experience in employment services. Our goal is to assist job seekers from diverse backgrounds facing barriers to employment to integrate into the Canadian job market. And we achieve this by providing employment services, linking employers to skilled professionals, and building strong networks in collaboration with our community partners. So as you can see from this slide of our programs and services, we offer a wide range of employment services and programs to meet the diverse needs of our job seekers. There are programs specific for entrepreneurs, women, youth, bilingual, and we also have the sector-specific programs, for example, human resources, financial, IT, including the healthcare connections program. And I would like to highlight the pre-arrival program that serves someone who has been approved to immigrate to Canada, but has not arrived here yet. The objective is to help immigrants to make connections with employers. And once they landed, or soon after they landed, they have already a job here. All right. And then we can start to talk about the healthcare connections. I will give an overview. The Healthcare Connections program is designed for internationally educated healthcare professionals and internationally trained immigrants by helping them to transition to alternative careers and no license options. We focus on job seekers with healthcare backgrounds. Either if you were a licensed professional and not pursuing licensure at this moment, or if you are exploring what opportunities are in the healthcare industry while pursuing licensure, or if you have experience in no licensed health professions. We are here to help you to identify where your healthcare expertise would match based on transferable skills and your interests. Our primary goal is to help you in securing no licensed employment in the broader healthcare sector. And what would be a broader healthcare sector? We look beyond primary health. It could be clinical research, healthcare administration, pharmaceuticals, community health, and public health. And moving on. Now we can talk a little bit about the delivery results. So our program, it started 6 years ago in 2017 and has used a holistic service delivery approach to provide healthcare professionals like you to achieve professional goals and succeed. We served over 450 healthcare professionals to the date, and over 80% of the job seekers found a variety of alternative careers, ranging from part-time to full-time, entry to mid-level within the last year. Binish Kowaja was among one of the healthcare professionals who secured a position with the Health Common Solutions Lab at Sinai Health through our referral. She started working as a project coordinator and was soon promoted to her current role as project manager. Let's see what she has to say about Access. The Access team helped me with developing the resume and referred me to the Health Commons Solutions Lab at Sinai Health. They provided guidance throughout the process to prepare me for the interview. She's one of our alumni. And here we can see some of the job titles. So what do no licensed career options in the broader healthcare sector look like? So let's give a look at the success of our alumni. We have alumni working as clinical research coordinator at University Health Network. We also have as a health educator in the York region, community ambassador or community health ambassadors, and LAMP Community Health Center. In Sun Life, at Sun Life Group, disability claim educator. And for those in pharmaceuticals, we have pharmacovigilance associate. These are some of the jobs that our alumni get into. And we would like to highlight as well the social capital in connection. Some of the most important things that we provide to our participants, like Benish, and is important to their success, is to be connected with mentors. So these are some of the organizations that we have partnerships, and we bring mentors and guest speakers. So our program builds strong relationships with organizations as Mount Sinai Hospital. They are strong support for internationally educated healthcare professionals as they recognize the values. University Health Network, for an example, they often share information with our participants about their hiring process. Apotex, we work with Apotex across the organization. Ultima Dental, for those, especially those who are in the dental field, and Access Alliance. Access Alliance is provide various like health services, including primary care, community health, and research in public health. And moving on, I would like to explore a little bit about the programs, because the benefits of the program. So here we can say, what are the benefits of participating in the program? So the benefits include acquire information necessary to transfer your skills to an alternative career option in the broader healthcare sector. Also develop Canadian workplace communication skills, receiving one-on-one employment counseling, especially regarding to job search strategies, receiving regular referrals to job openings and connections to employers through our employer liaisons, connect with mentors, as we said. They are established professionals in the selected career path, connect with employers who are recruiting and hiring from Access employment programs, and also receive trainings that enhance team-based, comprehensive, interpersonal primary care for health workforce. So these are some of the benefits of our program. And now I would like to continue exploring the components of our program in detail. So I will invite my colleague, Henny, to proceed. Henny, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Carolina. Now I'm going to take a deeper dive on how the program really looks like. So what does a holistic service delivery approach look like? First of all, participants receive short and intensive support in a 6 full-time training program. After completing those 6 weeks, we continue to support you over a period of 12 months. You will be working with our team to receive job search support and preparation, including market research and understanding more about the market and targeting your job search towards companies that really require your specific skill set. You will also continue to receive one-on-one employment support to work on your resume, develop your interview skills. We invite you as well to attend our networking and hiring events, which we have all around the year. We regularly also refer you to job openings with our employment partners if it matches with your skills. We will present your resume and application to the employer. However, you got to know that job referrals are not job placements, as we do not provide job placements. Finally, we also have continued coaching even after you get a job. So let's say you got a job, we continue supporting you to make sure you succeed at the workplace. Moving on. So the Healthcare Connections program is one program with 2 streams. Those 2 streams are the health systems as well as community health stream. Health Systems is designed for internationally educated healthcare professionals with skills and expertise that can be transferred to alternative career options in the broader healthcare sector. You must be previously licensed as a healthcare professional. We focus on employment areas which are healthcare administration, pharmaceuticals, and clinical research. You will be supported by a team of highly successful, internationally educated healthcare professionals who actually know the sectors you want to get into. On the other hand, for the other stream, which is the community health stream, it is designed for internationally trained professionals with skills and expertise in non-regulated health professions who are interested in community health, public health, or nonprofit health organizations. It is open to both previously licensed healthcare professionals or allied healthcare professionals. This is delivered with content and training in partnership with Centennial College, Public Services Health and Safety Administration, as well as Lamb Community Health Center. So taking a deeper dive, what happens in those 6 weeks? So as you can see, for the 6 weeks, we start with the occupational change management module for both streams. Why do we start with that? To help you navigate through complex occupational change and to prepare you and build mental health resiliency as healthcare leaders and as newcomers to Canada or to Ontario. For both streams, you receive support through job search modules. We go over your resume and cover letter to prepare you for a Canadian-style resume. We help you with your interview skills as well. And we support you establish a professional network and to build a strong LinkedIn profile to succeed in your job search. The workplace business and communication module, which is one of the modules also that we covered during those cohorts. It helps you understand more about navigating communication challenges in the Canadian workplace. And of course, communication is one of the most important aspects of setting ourselves up for success. For Health Systems stream, the module helps you navigate challenging interactions in the workplace and communicating effectively using technology. On the other hand, for community health, we focus on communication in community health centers, center settings, and conflict de-escalation. Last but not least, we spend a lot of time talking about sector-specific information or providing you with sector-specific information based on the employment focus of the stream. So for example, in Health Systems stream, we spend time exploring alternative career pathways that you might like and your skill set would be matching those opportunities. We help you build an action plan as well to reach your goals step by step. We have introduction to life sciences industry, introduction to clinical research, as well as introduction to health information management. Now, when we talk about the community health stream, we provide introduction and onboarding training to community health centers, navigating interdisciplinary health teams, and health and safety training. Moving on to our program eligibility. So how to determine eligibility for the program? First of all, minimum, you need a Canadian language benchmark of 7+ in all 4 areas. You must be educated at a post-secondary level outside of Canada in a regulated or non-regulated / allied healthcare profession. In terms of immigration status, you must be a permanent resident, convention refugees, refugee claimant with a 1-year Canadian work permit, naturalized Canadian citizen, or Ukrainian nationals with emergency travel visa holders. The status and requirements for both streams are a little different depending according to funders for both streams. We ask that you have at least 1 year of experience in a licensed healthcare profession or have worked in the healthcare industry outside of Canada. Of course, within Canada, we require little to no previous Canadian work experience in the healthcare sector. Last but not least, you must reside in Ontario. The reason for that is because healthcare is highly provincial. Regulation can change depending on each province. That's why we focus only on supporting people who live within inside Ontario. Again, based upon your educational background, immigration status, and career aspiration, we will have meetings and decide which stream would better suit your skills and career aspirations. Now, for those wondering about the program fees, again, we have two streams in one program. Health Systems is free of charge and is funded by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. Community Health, on the other hand, would cost $500, which would be payable to our academic partner, which is Centennial College. However, it can be at no cost if you qualify for Ontario Bridge Training Bursary, which is if you are unemployed as well as your spouse is unemployed, so that would be highly likely for you to be eligible for reimbursement. Now, briefly, let's go through program length and dates. As we mentioned before, it's a 6-week program for the cohort itself, and we have 6 cohorts every year. We have 3 for health systems, as well as 3 for community health. For health systems, we have 3 cohorts in April, September, and January. For community health, it would start July, October, and February. Now, the enrollment process for all of you wondering how to enroll. First of all, you need to sign up for one of our information sessions, which you can find on our website, or you can reach out via email, which will be shared by the end of this session. After attending the information session and understanding what documents we will need from you, you have to submit your documents to us, where we would have a meeting to decide your eligibility and walk you through the program. We might need a follow-up interview. In that case, we will reach out to you. Again, based on your status, based on the meeting and your career aspiration, we'll get to decide which stream would be more suitable for you. For contact information, here on this slide, you can see we have 2 employment consultants for the healthcare program. Ada and G1 will be helping you through your enrollment journey, and that's the email that you can use to reach out to our employment consultants. So please, if you have any questions and concerns, I would say first, head to the website, go through the program, check. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Moving on, last but not least, this is just a brief slide on our funders. As you can see, we have Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, Employment Ontario, and others as our funders. And we have 7 offices across the Greater Toronto area. So no matter where you are, pretty much. Carolina, if we can please move to the other slide. No matter where you are in the GTA, there's always an office nearby that will be able to support you in person or virtually. With that, our presentation is done, and I'm happy to take any questions from your end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hani and Carolina. We have a number of questions that have come in, and I believe you've covered that in your presentation. So there are questions about eligibility criteria, costs, status, etc. So for all the questions that have come in, I would advise that you watch the recording of this webinar. But if you would, like to talk about pre-landing information, that would be great.
Sorry, Carolina, you want to go with it?
No, yeah, it's another program that we have. We can support clients outside Canada when they are already approved to immigrate, and it's virtual. But the deep information, it's also better to go over the website, and then they can get in touch with us through this email, healthcarecon. And we can forward to the other program, and they will receive all the information they need.
Thank you for that. And there have been people on this webinar from other provinces who've been asking questions. So just to clarify, the best way to find such amazing programs are to go to your settlement agency, ask them about similar programs, and all provinces have similar programs or programs on the same lines. So because that has been a question that has come in often a lot of those questions. Okay, so the next question is, are Ukrainians with work permits eligible for this program? I believe, Hani, you already said yes, but please, if you would like to speak about that.
Yeah, of course. We have several programs at Access that would support Ukrainians who recently moved to Canada. One of them is the Healthcare Connections program. So let me just say this. If there are questions related to individual cases, it would be a bit too hard to, a bit challenging to answer that question because I need to gather more information about the individual case. But yes, if you moved to Canada from Ukraine and you have a work permit, we're more than happy to meet with you and determine your eligibility and answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, great. And then can an international student take part in this program?
Unfortunately not.
Yes, so this is for landed immigrants, and this is also for people coming through the Ukrainians with work permits. That's our people. What about people who are already citizens who've just become a citizen?
Citizens, if they have little to no experience in the healthcare sector in Canada, more than happy to work with them. Yes. As long as we have that healthcare background with 1 year of experience outside of Canada.
Another question is, so there was somebody from people from other provinces. They're saying since the program is online, can we partake in the program?
That's a great question, actually. And the thing is that the only challenge when it comes to healthcare in working with clients in other provinces, as I mentioned, provincial regulations are different.
Yes.
So that's why we focus on Ontario, as that's where we have been working in the past, and that's where we're continuing working. Unfortunately, it would be very challenging to determine what other provinces would require. However, if someone is in another province and planning to move to Ontario, I would highly recommend to reach out to us, check the website. We can support them through their journey to move to Ontario and find work in the province. Yeah.
Okay, great. There are a number of other questions, but the email address is right here. So please take this down or feel free to rewatch the webinar, which is being uploaded. So yeah, there are a number of questions about approvals, about degrees from overseas, etc. But I think the best way is to email Hani and Carolina or the comments at the, you can see the contact information on the slide. So thank you so much, Carolina and Hani. That was a lot of great information. And I'm looking at your presentation and thinking that a number of the programs you said the health systems are free of charge. And you're saying that community health is a small amount that can actually be reimbursed as well, So I think this is a great service that you're providing. So I encourage everyone to connect with Access Employment. So before we go on to our next speaker, we're going to show you the a video of our sponsor, Western Union. We'll play that video. We want to thank our sponsor. Thank you, Laura. So let's go to our second segment of the Canadian Immigrant Web Conference for Internationally Trained Healthcare Professionals. And we have Cindy Sinclair, Masood Ahmadzadazol. You're going to have to tell me how to pronounce your name. Shini Munar and Mariam Musa, who will be speaking on the health and medicine licensure process and alternative career options. So welcome, and please, the floor is yours. And attendees, if you would like to ask questions, continue typing it in the chat or in the Q&A feature. So please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ramya and Laura for the guidance and getting us ready for this presentation, as well as Dr. Bajaj for inviting me to be a part of this webinar conference. I think it's an honor for me to be here and to speak after Access presenters just now. It just reinforces my experience with Access and my support for Access. And it wasn't planned. We didn't discuss this earlier, but I brought with me today two Access alumni who are joining me with this presentation. And also that's Dr. Shaini Munar and Dr. Maryam Musa. And Dr. Ahmad Azel is a resident, an immigrant resident in the psychiatry program. So I'm honored to have this opportunity to speak on this topic, as well as to have the alumni from Access and others join me today. I supervise their research in the Faculty of Medicine, and I am honored that I have that opportunity to share that work with them as well. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then we'll go into the presentation. So I am Dr. Cindy Sinclair. I'm an immigrant like many of you who are online, and I've seen those questions that came up about teachers and how can you participate? And I heard a lot as well, Canadian experience. How do we get Canadian experience? And I can tell you from my own experience, I had to be very creative to get experience in order to get my first job at the university as a clerk typist. A long time ago, I didn't have any, I graduated, I was working in a restaurant, I was working in a factory. I got my first job in a law firm that lasted half a day, and I was sent home. And I thought I had to do something. And I started putting up signs at grocery stores and library to type essays for people. And that's how I started making my connection. I typed essays, I got references. I applied for my first job at the university, I got it. And I've been there ever since. And I've just enjoyed the environment as much as I got rich in so many different ways. So I worked at the university for many years, and then I went back to school at a later year because I saw a problem with immigrant doctors while I worked in the Faculty of Medicine, in postgraduate education and training, in human resources, in administration. I saw so many immigrant doctors that come to Canada and are going through, I was the first point of contact for immigrant doctors, and they're going through the program, and just one or two may get admitted into the program. And I always wonder what happens to the rest of them. And I would walk down Bloor Street and I would see all these yellow taxi cabs. And every time I take a taxi and I talk to the driver, either he is an immigrant doctor or his family, or he knows people who are immigrant doctors who are driving taxis. So I took that upon myself to get some education, because in this country, if you don't have advanced education or Canadian education, all your back home experience and education, it doesn't carry the same weight here. So if you are going to look at how you can advance yourself in the professional field, which is the area I work on, you need to look at education as well. So as I said, I'm a lecturer in the Faculty of Medicine. I do research, I do mentoring, and I also look at how I can advocate for immigrant doctors, not just as their first-time job, which is what Access Employment does very well. I'm an instructor with Access Employment, and we deliver the alternative career path course and the confidentiality course. And every time a cohort starts, I would say, welcome. And I say, by the end of this program, you'll smile. I'll see big smiles in your faces, because I know that once they finish the program, they'll be successful. And the coaching, I have to really give kudos to the coaching, because Miriam and Shiny, who joined me, became professionals in the healthcare field as a result of the coaching. So I'm thrilled to have them on board. So now I'm going to go to my presentation, and let's see, can you see my slides? Can you see the slides?
Yeah. Yes, we're good. We're good. Yeah.
All right, great. So the title of our presentation, as mentioned, is Health and Medicine Licensure Process and Alternative Career Options. I'm going to give a brief overview of the realities of the Canadian medical profession, and then Dr. Masood and Dr. Shiny are going to talk about the licensure process and to get a license, and Dr. Musa will speak about the alternative career path, which is so this is our objectives for today. But this is for every one of you who are doing the presentation. These are the kinds of challenges you face. And don't get too nervous, as I'm getting nervous right now, but this is part of even your interview when you go for a job interview. Sometimes you think you're well planned, but you're not. Anyhow, so the government funds the healthcare system. Our healthcare system covers medications, surgeries, hospital stays, emergency services, etc. But in order for an immigrant doctor to practice medicine, they have to have a license. And I know that there are some shortcuts happening, and Dr. Masood will speak on some of these as well. But you need a license to practice. And in order for you to get the license, you have to meet the requirements set by either the College of Family Physicians of Canada or the Royal College of Physicians of Canada. The family physician is a 2-year program. The Royal College is a 5-year program. When you meet those requirements, then you're recommended to the licensing college for a license to practice. In order to get that recommendation, you have to have a supervisor. So although there may be recommendations of different programs that a newcomer immigrant can go through, and they write the exams and they pass the exams, it doesn't mean that you will get direct access to a license. And as mentioned earlier, the licenses are province-wide, so a license in one province may not be the same in another province. And I just want to pinpoint that when you're looking to be a licensed physician in Canada, you'll see in the institution, they always say IMGs, which is International Medical Graduates. And those international medical graduates, that acronym really means anyone that earned their medical degree in an international country. So Dr. Masood, Dr. Shiny, Dr. Musa, they've all received their MD in another country, but it doesn't, when they go and apply for a residency program here, they are focused as, they're compared with other international medical graduates from the US, the UK, Australia. So for my research, I focus specifically with immigrant, which is the I for immigrant, medical doctors. And so when you see that they say they take 10 or 20% of immigrant doctors or IMGs, really it's just about 10% of immigrant doctors that get into the program, while you still have to do a return of service when you finish. And most of the Canadian medical students get access to a licensure process. And for my research, I wonder, what do these medical doctors do when they finish the program and still can't get a license? What do they do? How do they climb the ladder? How do they meet the requirements that these colleges are saying? You must be a good communicator, a good collaborator, a good leader, a good healthcare advocate, scholar, professional. You must be a community-based physician. But how do you get this experience if you're a newcomer and nobody gives you the chance, and you can't get into a residency program? That's where the idea of alternative career pathway came. And I co-developed the alternative career path program, which Miriam and Shiny took as well. But again, you come with a visa, you left everything behind home, and you came here, and there's a shortage of doctors. You're thinking, oh, there's a shortage of doctors. I can apply, I can climb the ladder, I can be big. But the pushbacks will always be there. And now I'm going to pass it on to Dr. Masood to show you some of those pushbacks, and Dr. Shiny to elaborate a little bit more about the licensure process, and then Dr. Musa will take over.
Thank you, Cindy, and thank you everybody for being here. And it's I'm like a psychiatrist back in Iran, and I work as a general practitioner psychiatrist back in Iran before coming to Canada. And I know how important it is to know the system and get navigated in a very efficient way to get to the way that you can serve your potentials to the community. And that's the reason that people immigrate, and we want to be important part of the community. But the pathway is not easy for different immigrants, especially including for medical doctors. And if you go to the next slide, this is a very paved pathway that you see for Canadians when they want to get to the medical school. They go to the university, they get the university degree, they go to medical school, they write their exams, and after that they apply for residency, or during that time And after 2 years of family physician or 5 years of a specialty training, they get their license for practice after writing exams. It is not easy as it looks for Canadian as well. For example, they are less than 10% of the applicants for med schools usually get into med school. So it is not as easy for everybody. Like they are one from every 10 people applying for med school get to that. But after med school, it is easier for them, like up to 97% of them can get like a license to practice. But for immigrant doctors that they get in their med school and their medical degree from other country, it is difficult. And as Dr. Cindy said, that it is like up to 10%. If you go to the next slide, when you come to Canada as immigrant IMG, immigrant international medical graduate, or immigrant international medical doctor, you have different options to go through. If you are coming from the what is called approved jurisdictions, like it includes like Australia, New Zealand, like or UK or other jurisdictions, like 13 jurisdictions that they're approved, you can write your exams. But most of the immigrants don't come from this pathway, and they are coming from other pathways. And if you are a specialist and coming from another country and you work in different pathway in like your field, you may have chance to go through, find a sponsor, do practice ready assessment, and after 2 years of working, write your Royal College exams. But it is not as easy as it looks on the paper, because it is difficult to find a sponsor. It is difficult to find somebody like job opportunity that gives you these 2 years of Canadian experience. So the other pathway that you can do is that you follow like exams and apply for CARS, which is Canadian Residency Matching System, and get to a residency spot. Or in some provinces like Quebec, you can go and write the last 2 years of your medical school. That's another option. If you go to the other slide, so these steps are starting with like credentiating your degree, that you start with going to physician applies, build an account, and after that they're going to source verify your account, and they're going to give you opportunity to write the exams, which is qualifying exam 1, and you may need to write what is called the oral exam or skill-based exam, which is called NAC-OSCE. And these are the minimum things that you are doing. If you are a specialist, you can go to Royal College of Physicians, or if you are a family physician, you can go to College of Family Physicians and apply for practice eligibility route, that they are going to review your credentials. And if they do, they're going to give you opportunity to write their exams. But to be able to write that exam, you need to have some practice. And for the practice, you can go to this practice readiness pathways, which is like CIPA, for example, for Saskatchewan, practice readiness assessment for BC, and every province has their own program. And they're working together actually for the last 10 or 15 years to provide a national practice assessment collaboration, which is this NAC. But besides the OSCE, they couldn't proceed to find the organized way. And one option that I followed is that I applied for residency, which is the CARMS, Canadian Residency Matching System. And after that, if you apply to them, if you show the next slide, this is the stat that you see how the residency system works. If you see the blue one is the Canadian graduates, that 97% of them get a spot in residency. And almost like 400, 500 IMGs, this green part, get their spot. And from this green part, as Dr. Cindy said, part of them are Canadian IMGs, Canadian who travel abroad, go to another country, get their medical license degree and come back. And part of them are immigrant IMGs. And most of these numbers that you are seeing, almost 2/3 of them are Canadian IMGs. And so the spot for immigrant IMGs are a little bit slimmer than you are seeing here. And if you go to the next slide, I'm just going to hand over to Dr. Munar to talk about the other options that you can follow as a medical doctor.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shiny. So I'm a psychiatrist from the Philippines. I also subspecialized in addiction psychiatry back home. Coming to Canada, I was also like what most of the comments on the chat said, that there is definitely a lot of challenges, not just career-wise settling. And so having a straight path is quite difficult to see. But like what Masood mentioned earlier, one option is go through the residency path, which is probably around 5 years if you're a specialist, or 2 years if you want to be a family doctor. Another option, if you already completed your residency back in your home country, is to go through fellowship. So currently, I'm a clinical fellow at under the area of focus competence in addiction medicine at University of Toronto. And definitely, I've had the pleasure and experience to work in different hospitals and learn about the healthcare system. Now, the thing here is that as a fellow, it is easier in a sense that you don't need to take any kind of exam. To enter a fellowship program, you have to apply based on the specific hospital or your subspecialty. You also, again, have to take into consideration that as an IMG, you're also up against other IMGs who are graduates from UK, also Canadian IMGs, as well as visa IMG. So these are sponsored spots. So again, it's really just a matter of trying your very best to find a program that is suitable or is aligned with your career. Now, usually fellowships go, it's usually a 1 year or 2 year program, and it can be funded, meaning the actual university gives you a substantial stipend. And for others, it's supported by their home countries. And again, there's return of service. So if we go to the next slide. Yes, so for example, you did complete your fellowship, you have extra training. The question is, can you practice? So again, there is really no straight path. Masood mentioned earlier about practice-ready assessments. Yes, that is possible, but again, to find a supervisor who can do that for you. And again, with each province, they have different recommendations. They have different guidelines when it comes to this. So as far as I know, for psychiatry specifically in Ontario, there's not one specific practice-ready assessment route. And so there is really no assurance of a job offer after you finish fellowship. So the ideal thing about fellowship is, one, you get that Canadian experience that is aligned with your training back home. Number two is to really form that strong network. And within this network is where I actually found opportunities that are available for me. So again, no specific exams, but at some point, if you do want to have an independent license, you still need to complete your QE1 and you still need to take your Royal College exams. I think that's in the next slide. Yeah, you still need to get your independent license. You still need to accomplish your Royal College exams. But here's the little caveat there. You need to have at least 3 years experience in clinical experience to be able to take the Royal College exams. And so again, fellowship may be a way to get through to that license in the future. So what do you do after fellowship? What do you do after fellowship? You can extend your fellowship. You can take another additional fellowship in a different subspecialty if you like. And after which you can try to apply for academic licensure. So you will be employed under a university, and then you can progress from assistant professor and become associate professor. And then at some point challenge the Royal College exams. So other routes through fellowship as well can be if you have a strong research background, in Toronto in particular, that might be that can give you a bit of an edge, because generally it helps your CV, and Yes, so after that, after looking through these pathways, again, the endpoint is if you want to practice, you still need to take the Royal College exams to have an independent license. So I will hand it over to Mariam, who will discuss about alternative career pathways.
Thank you, Dr. Shiny. Hi, everyone. My name is Maria. I'm an international trained medical doctor from Nigeria. I practiced for 2 years as a general
Dr. Musa, your
I
connection.
moved into Canada, and I'll be talking about the alternative career pathway. So what really happens to 90%? Yes.
No, you're good. You're good. Your connection was a little wonky.
Okay, great. I noticed that. Thank you. So what happens to 90% of those IMGs who do not get matched into the residency program? So while it's great to be optimistic, but it's also important to be realistic and open-minded about the challenges that immigrant doctors face in Canada. So it's possible to build a successful and a rewarding career by exploring alternative career pathways. Next slide, please, Dr. Cindy. So before I moved to Canada, I was aware of these challenges and I was open to exploring other pathways, and that made me to take a master's in public health in the United Kingdom. It was an online program. And after arriving in Canada, next slide, please, Dr. Cindy. After arriving in Canada, I learned that there were lots of opportunities in the field of public health, community care, and also in social works. And when you come into a new country, it is very important that you're able to, next slide, please. It is important that you're able to connect and reach out for help.
You're breaking up.
Very easily, because in the new country, everything is different. The Canadian job market is very different. Like an interview is different. For example, you cannot apply for different doing like from the cohort. So it's very important that you reach out for help. And the best way to get help is from people who are already in the system. So the best thing you can do is to reach out to employment centers or get in contact with a coach. So if you're getting in contact with a coach, for example, a coach will be able to help you understand better the employment landscape and help you plan your career pathway better. And with the employment services, as Access Employment had already explained, you'll get to know better how to prepare yourself for these job opportunities, and they'll also link you up with organizations that are employing. Next slide, please, Dr. Cindy. Next slide. Okay, so networking is also another very important gateway to getting your first job. And it's not just about getting a first job, it's about building a successful career. So through networking, you'll be able to meet people who may or may not be in the healthcare field. This was a networking session. I think it was 2 Christmas ago, 2 years ago. And we had the opportunity to meet with individuals who had different experiences from the University of Toronto. Next slide, please.
And there is Miriam having her tea at the session.
Yes. And this is the Immigrant Women Doctor of Cycle. It supports immigrant women who are in healthcare. So we share our success stories and we support each other. We have monthly meetings, and it also helps to enhance networking skills.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the end of our presentation. We're happy to answer questions. We'd like to leave you with some useful links that you could review at your own time. We will leave this with Canadian Immigrant to share with you, as well as our contact information if you're interested in getting in touch with us. But I just want to really drive home, as a newcomer in Canada, you really do need to be optimistic, as Miriam says, and realistic, that because I worked in the profession for so many years. I've seen people tried 5, 10, 6, 15 years because they think they'll be a doctor, but they didn't know of other alternative path because they weren't thinking. So be realistic, be optimistic, reach out for help. We always say reach out for help. You need a mentor, but you don't know how to. And that's where access comes in handy. That's where I met Miriam and Shiny, where, they gave us that opportunity to coach individuals. And so for any of you out there, you're interested in being successful in Canada, follow some of these steps. And I wish you all very best and good luck in your journey. Thank you. I thank my colleagues as well and Access Canadian Immigrant. Thank you.
Thank you so much for keeping this presentation real and for sharing your personal experiences. Very powerful and very practical as well. You've given a lot of practical tips. I'm going to start off with one question that's been coming to us quite a bit. So during COVID, Canada realized that there was a need for medical professionals, and has this realization, because that's when it really struck us. So has this realization, will this impact the healthcare career regulations going forward? What do you think? What are your perspectives on this?
Dr. Masood, do you want to take that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's a very good question. And I think during COVID, we realized that how fragile our health system is. And actually some provinces started initiatives to bring more immigrant healthcare professionals like nurses, like mental health workers, physicians to the job market. But it didn't work actually as well, because the system had lots of stakeholders, and there are lots of the conflict of interest, especially among the regulatory bodies. Like in Ontario, actually, government of Ontario has trying to impose a regulation that can bypass the College of Physicians. That also is one of the barriers in the terms of they want requirements that not every immigrant doctor can have it. Yeah, and they are introducing like physician associate or physician assistant roles mostly. This is like doing the same job with the supervision and this paid job. I think that's a good opportunity because we haven't had it in the past, but we need to push forward for the regulations for the more fair job market and also quality-based, merit-based, qualification-based competition, and rather than like the country of origin based job market.
Yeah, and I would just add to that as well that there, as Dr. Masood said, it's the regulation and the bodies that we're dealing with. Even though we needed doctors and they've used a lot of immigrant doctors during that COVID period, they still weren't able to get a license to continue their practice because it's so regulated. At the same time, I think for that's what we're doing. We're trying to advocate for immigrant doctors, foreign immigrant doctors, to be recognized as doctors who can contribute to our diverse patient population and diverse healthcare system. So yeah, I just want to add that's something we're working on, is how can we advocate for integration of more immigrant doctors in our diverse community of healthcare and patient population.
Mm-hmm. We're running out of time, but I'm going to shoot 2 questions really quickly. Mm-hmm. So one question is, they're saying that Manitoba no longer needs the MCCQE. So tell me, are there provinces that are easier to get your licensure, where the process is easier? Like, is there a difference? If I came here, what would you tell me as a province that would be easier? I mean, this is not an easy question, but.
Dr. Shiny, want to take that?
It's very difficult to answer. Again, each province will have their own set of guidelines in terms of the number of IMGs they will accept in their residency program, the number of IMGs they will accept in a fellowship program. Sure, path, I would have to say, would be if you go through residency, definitely you'll get your license within like 5 years or 2 years after you complete residency, right? A more arduous path would be going through clinical fellowship and just trying to find connections and ways. Like at present, I'm still trying to look for a university so I can be employed under an academic license. And so it's always up in the air, and there's always that level of uncertainty that you would feel. I've tried to apply in different provinces, and it goes back to the same number of requirements. They can take out MCCQE, but also they can ask for other licensure requirements as well. So again, it's case basis, no specific areas where you would say it's easier or not. Definitely in Ontario, they're more difficult. That's what I'm sure of.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but not impossible. So
Yeah.
Okay, I have one last question, and we're going to go ahead. Do you have any specific advice for finding mentors on LinkedIn or anywhere else, social media channels?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is a really good source. And I think Canadians are generally very helpful. So if you can go onto LinkedIn and sort of Google someone who is, say, maybe a gastroenterologist or a family doctor, and see if you can make that connection with them. Access Employment gives you a lot of opportunity to sort of connect with a coach because they know a lot of people. But I would also say, if you're new to the country, especially if you're younger and you think you want to live here and have a career path, try and connect with a university. Universities are really, really, really committed to making sure that their graduates get the exposure they need, the help, the mentoring, the coaching, so that they can be successful when they graduate. So to find a mentor outside of an education system, it's a little bit more difficult. You have to go to the settlement offices, and the employment offices. But if you get into any education program, not just a university, but most education program, the professors are willing to help. They're knowledgeable and they can help as well. So get some Canadian education, and you're able to land on a good mentor faster.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Sinclair, Dr. Ahmed Zanasal, Dr. Munar, and Dr. Musa. Thank you for sharing such practical experiences, and a number of questions are coming in. Please do send it to us or send it to the doctors themselves. They've shared their contact information. So now for our final segment, we're going to have speakers Megan Wankel and Rola El Mubader from CARE, the Center for Nurses. And Megan and Rola will be speaking to us about career pathways with CARE Center for Nurses. Once again, I'd like to acknowledge our sponsor for today, Access Employment. And we would like to invite Megan and Rola to go ahead with the presentation.
Thank you so much, Ramya. It's a pleasure to be here. Before we get started, can everybody see our screen?
Yes, we're good. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, welcome. It's really wonderful to see so many people here, and some of our colleagues from Care Center are here as well. And thank you for attending our session today on career pathways for IENs and strategies for integration and inclusion. And Rola and I are very pleased to be here. And I coordinate the pre-arrival program for Care Center, and Rola is my program manager who manages both the pre and post-arrival programs facilitated by Care Center. And what we're going to discuss today is firstly a snapshot of internationally educated nurses in Canada. We'll tell you about Care Center for Internationally Educated Nurses, how we support IENs to seek licensure and employment through our pre-arrival pan-Canadian program, working with nurses going to any province, and post-arrival specifically in Ontario. We'll cover some strategies to help IENs pursue their career pathways and foster inclusion in the health sector. And Rola's going to end the presentation covering 3 in-demand skills that internationally educated nurses need to succeed in the Canadian job market. And actually, Rola's going to start us off, so go right ahead, Rola.
Thank you for actually inviting me to this platform, which I found it a passion for me as an IEN myself who went through the journey back in 2010. And I got the kind of the support from Care Center. So here I am actually kind of giving back to my fellow IENs this support and trying as well to help them, whether they are in Ontario or pre-arrival, as we're going to talk about. So just to let you know, I am actually been practicing nursing for the past 24 years in different countries, from the Middle East to Canada, 3 journeys, 3 countries, back and forth. And Canada is my home now. And as a nurse, we will say once a nurse, forever a nurse. So we don't want to change our profession. And I was listening to my colleagues in the healthcare system of physicians and dentists. I was thinking, I thought nursing journey was a complicated licensure journey, but now I found it like maybe we're less complicated, thinking of the kind of the pathways and the credentialing. So as any healthcare professional, so nurses has to go through the assessing of their credentials and evaluation and verification. And the nursing process starts with the NNAS, which is the National Nursing Assessment Center. And this actually been the practice for the past years. Now, there are changes that happened recently, but it differs, as I can hear from everyone, for all healthcare professionals between provinces and regulatory bodies. So some regulatory bodies are still going with the NNAS, some others are going through other credentialing and verification organizations or pathways. Also at Care Center, we support nurses through their settlement as a newcomer, and this through our partnership with settlement organization and other service providers organizations in the sector. All through the journey, our goals and aims is to individualize the kind of the service plan for each IEN, because they come with different, I would say, perspectives and with different goals and vision of their future, and they're relaunching their career in Canada. So we work with them to make sure they are working in the healthcare field, whether it's a starting point in any position, because we want them to be there where their talents and skills are valued and needed. And especially after the pandemic, which revealed a lot of actually shortage in nurses globally and nationally. Sorry, I just want to mention a few things, Megan, before I move to this one quickly. So what we do is we help them in the next step, which is we have to meet their requirements with the regulatory bodies. So we have the case management model one-on-one, which support them in identifying where they are in this journey, whether they need to go for prep courses, where they have to go through a bridging program, through academic pathways, institutions to study or fill any gaps to ensure their safe practice is still valid, or they need to go through other pathways that we will be speaking in the coming slides about. And after they become registered in Canada, we still continue to support them, because we're going to talk about our membership and how it is a lifetime membership. And at any time, at any point of their career advancement, we'll be supporting IENs once they actually be our members. So you can see in the slide that we have all of these support. Thank you, Megan. So to speak a bit about what is actually kind of the recent changes from 2010, when I started actually my journey, there's been a lot of changes. There was a projection by the CNA, that the Canadian Nurse Association, that we will have actually a shortage of nurses between 60,000 and 76,000 RNs by 2022. I think the prediction is more now with the pandemic and with nurses leaving the profession because of the strain of the pandemic that put on nurses. Though there's still a demand and the recognition and recent recognition as IENs being very valuable to the healthcare system in Canada, and they can actually bring more perspective and more values and multiculturalism and more diversity for the Canadian workforce. So IENs bring refined skills, as I said, and there's a lot of highly specialized nursing settings that like critical care areas, like mental health as well. So the numbers there would actually speak to this. So with the recent changes in the regulation in Ontario, the College of Nurses of Ontario was able to register 5,125 internationally educated nurses. And that was double from 2021 and triple from 2020, which is great with all the changes they put in the modernization of the streamlining their regulation, their registration process, and ensuring that it's a fast track one rather than actually being trapped for years and years in the process. As of March 17, 2023, as well, because of introducing the supervised practice experience, or what we call the SPAP, which helps IENs, rather than going back to their home country and to do volunteering work to cover for their safe practice. The College of Nurses of Ontario find during the pandemic, with the support of CARE, being a pioneer of that, to actually launch this SPAP program and help IENs not to wait for the pandemic to actually leave us, to get their safe practice updated in Ontario through the SPAP program, and by placing them with organizations in the healthcare system like hospitals, long-term care facilities, and community nursing, in order to make those hours ranging between 168 hours up to 400, and it depends individually how this would work with each IEN experience and credentialing. Again, talking about the trends, though I have mentioned a lot about the kind of, I would say, the opportunities that lies in with changes in the regulations and the registration process, there's still actually kind of a low number of IENs in the Canadian nursing workforce. It's just 9%. And in Ontario, only 11%, and this is due to high actually statistics. So that low figure would give us actually more kind of a thought of why this. And here comes actually, I've been hearing my colleagues on this call saying like mentorship. Yes, we're going to speak more about mentorship, and I would say with mentorship, it helps to increase this number and helps more to support the inclusion and integration and transition of IENs in the workforce. It's not only about getting them registered, it's more about as well relaunching their career and advancing their career in Canada. So more statistics, I think I'm not going to go through this, but this is as well from the report from the Fair Commissioner Office, and these are all actually the kind of the numbers that I already referred to in the previous slides. So what is the reality in this situation? And I think that's the fear of any immigrant with a healthcare professional background, and especially kind of physicians, nurses, and dentists and other healthcare professionals. So it's less likely to secure employment matching their qualifications. So there's underutilization of the skills. And 37% only of those IENs are being actually recruited in Canada of IENs compared to their fellow IENs who are completed their programs in Canada. And more than 50% of the employed IENs work in jobs that requires a lower skill level than they are actually kind of been educated in their home country and gained their credentialing. So they are overqualified for those jobs. So how we can do this is through kind of creating those networks between the employers and the IEN, and also through the mentorship program, as I mentioned. So yes, there are challenges, but I would take my executive director famous word from the Chinese culture and saying with challenges and barriers comes opportunities. So we will focus on the opportunities that will come later when we discuss further about our kind support to IENs. So yes, there is a complexity and length of the registration process for all IENs and healthcare professionals. Coming to a new country, there is a lot of financial burden, and I have to maybe now give some credit to the people who supported me through my journey, like financially, because my husband was as the one who was actually working abroad to send me the money for my registration process. Recognition of credentials and the degree equivalence. And also there are a lot of regulatory registration requirements, from the language to the educational needed for the kind of to be equivalent to Canadian RN or RPN. So, and there's the evidence of practice as well. Another, actually, accessing employment is a barrier, because sometimes coming from a country, it sounds like who you are and what you're going to bring to the table for the employer. So then comes the lack of local experience, the Canadian experience, as used to be kind of mentioned before. But I think with the networking that we provide at CARE, it also kind of help to bridge those kind of gaps. Again, we prepare our clients to the employment kind of resume writing, mock interviews, and we focus on as well ensuring that there is an equity, diversion, and inclusion in the way we approach for those actually interviews. We speak with the employers, we try to let them know from the perspective of the IEN how actually kind of the interview questions are being looked at. Thank you, Megan. We can move to the next one. So what research shows? Research shows that successful transition and retention of IENs within the workplace require employers to acquire additional knowledge, skills, leading practices, and strategies to assist in the integration and onboarding of IENs. And those are the areas that I will leave Megan to speak more about them regarding our mentorship programs. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Rola. And I'm actually going to spend the next few minutes discussing and providing a brief overview of the pre- and post-arrival supports offered by Care Center, and including the eligibility. So if you are listening in and you are an internationally educated nurse planning to immigrate to Canada on a PR, permanent resident, or convention refugee status, if you're currently overseas, living and working in another country, you will want to know about our PASS program, which is federally funded by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. And should you meet the eligibility, it's entirely free. We have individualized case management to help you get started on the assessment process early, familiarize with nursing in Canada. And we're really just designed to help nurses get a head start. Beginning the registration process, whether that's through the National Nursing Assessment Service, which is still the case in many provinces, or for folks going to provinces where that is not required. As long as you have a certificate or graduation from nursing school or proof that you are a nurse overseas and the required immigration status, you are eligible to join us. And you can find all of the information at passfornurses.org. We have the email on this slide that goes directly into my inbox. I can provide my personal work email as well. And I'd like to also talk about our post-arrival supports. So unlike PASS pre-arrival, which is for nurses going to every province and territory in Canada, STARS is provincially funded by the Ontario government, and it is only for nurses seeking licensure as registered nurses or registered practical nurses in Ontario. And we are fully committed at Care Center, as Rola has talked about. We recognize the value of nurses with diverse education and experience. We know how lucky Canada is to be getting all these incredibly talented nursing talent coming here. And we do our best to promote IEN's full contribution to the Canadian healthcare system. As Rola has mentioned, it is a lifetime membership when people join Care Center. We've served over 5,000 IENs over the last couple of decades. PASS has been around since 2016, when the federal government started funding pre-arrival programs. We're one of 16 pre-arrivals. And you heard from Access Employment, they're one of our other valued partners in the pre-arrival sphere. But post-arrival in Ontario, the STARS program offers a really wide array of supports. We do a lot of work around workplace communication and integration, CELBAN exam preparation courses. That is one of the English language exams accepted by the nursing regulators. We do preparation for what was previously called the INCAP, is now called the Registered Nurses Canadian Competence Assessment Program. These are additional assessments RN candidates in Ontario are sometimes asked to complete. We do practical nursing licensure exam preparation. We'll talk for a couple minutes about the great mentorship opportunities offered through STARS, which we also offer through our pre-arrival program as well through the Canadian Nurses Association. Numerous networking and professional development opportunities. As our executive director, Ruth, likes to say, you know, people are leaving behind some pretty significant and vast networks and connections when they come to Canada. So Care Center tries to be their networking and expose people to different opportunities. Lots of work as well around employment, which I'll talk about momentarily. We operate a really unique case management tool, trying to identify the individual needs, career trajectories, goals in Canada. We guide to meet the registration requirements. Lots of work, again, communication and language, guide academic planning if academic bridging has been mandated. Lots of, work around employment, which I'll talk about as well, and just connecting people to our vast partnership network. And we're very lucky to have a lot of connections to offer holistic support to nurses who are in PASS. I will stop on this slide just for like a few seconds to let people read it through, but this is really what internationally educated nurses who are new to Ontario need to resume and advance their nursing careers successfully. And step one is joining Care Center's STARS program to achieve individualized tailored guidance and connections in all of these multiple areas. Just to talk for a little bit about employment, we help with, of course, regulated nursing positions, but prior to that, we can help facilitate access to non-licensed healthcare jobs while people are meeting their regulatory requirements. We offer employment skills workshops to refine resumes and cover letters, mock interviews with our employer partners to help people gain confidence and familiarity with the interview culture in Canada, one-on-one coaching. We have privileged relationships with a number of employers across Ontario, hospitals, long-term care facilities. We refer to postings, online and in-person recruitment fairs. We have many, many professional development sessions throughout the year to further enhance members' nursing, technical, and essential skills. For example, wound care, IV therapy, oncology, head-to-toe assessment. And we also offer diverse Meet the Employer webinars, where our members can connect with different employers to get a better understanding of their workplace culture and existing employment opportunities. Wonderful mentorship opportunities through observational job shadowing and virtual mentorship. And, I'm skipping ahead just to show you some of our employer partners, particularly in the observational job shadowing sphere. We partner with a variety of healthcare organizations for exposure for internationally educated nurses in different settings like acute care, long-term care, community nursing, access to nursing associations. And often the areas of interest that nurses, want to focus on are documentation, the e-documentation and intranet content, medication administration, health and physical assessment, new equipment and the use of technology, diverse nursing procedures, nursing scope of practice and the nursing role in the unit, any specialized certifications and trainings people may want to get to pursue employment in certain specialized units. And it's been great for networking, so for facility hiring procedures as well. And just to cover our eligibility criteria for the STARS program, it is similar to the PASS program. So and again, this is for internationally educated nurses post-arrival in Ontario. First of all, internationally educated nurses must have proof of a nursing education and background, or they have to have initiated an application with the National Nursing Assessment Service or received a letter of assessment from the College of Nurses of Ontario. So nurses join us at different stages. There is the immigration requirement. You have to be a permanent resident, Canadian citizen, convention refugee, or immigration status through the caregiver program. And IENs also have to do a language exam, a CLBA. We can do that in-house. And we've recently been given authorization to fortunately work with people on the QUIET, the Canada-Ukraine pathway. So very excited to report that. I know we're probably running out of time, Ramya, so I can go through this pretty quickly, but I just wanted people to see this slide just to highlight how valuable these mentorship connections, both in our pre and post-arrival programming, have been for our mentors and our clinical nurse expert mentors, pardon me, as well as our IEN mentees. And I'm going to leave it to Rola to take it up from here. But Ramya, would we have time to play a short video?
Absolutely, if it's 30 seconds. Absolutely, please go for it.
Oh, sorry.
Pursuing a registration with the College of Nurses of Ontario. I completed virtual mentoring in the mental health unit and observational job shadowing in the clinical resource team in Trillium Health Partners. What I appreciate in virtual mentoring is the chance to converse with an expert nurse quite experienced in their field. Hearing familiar medications, nursing procedures reminded me of my passion. It is also flexible because there is no need for travel. A great option for someone who is far and still be able to connect and access with an expert nurse. Observational job shadowing is done in person, and it was my window to reality. I love the chance to be at the unit and observe the expert nurses' day-to-day activities. The chance to interact with other nursing professionals about their varying perspective on the profession, learning about hospital protocols, and observing nursing procedures firsthand was engaging. Speaking with the expert nurses, I was able to identify the areas I'd like to study further, which is mental health and pediatrics. It also encouraged me to pursue acute care. The experience increased my desire to be part of the healthcare team in the future, and I am quite excited about that. Lastly, I would highly recommend virtual mentoring and job shadowing to all IENs, especially to the ones who are not confident or maybe hesitant about their skills, because it gives you the push and the boost of confidence. Also, it gives you the opportunity to reflect on your work experience and see which field you should pursue. Thank you and have a great conference.
Hi, sorry about that, everybody. Rola was going to introduce that video, and there was actually supposed to be a video. So I don't know why that did not play, but I'm glad we at least got to hear the audio, and I will send the video to Canadian Immigrant for inclusion. So Rola, go right ahead, and I'll let you do our last couple of slides.
It's self-explanatory, I think, with the time restrictions. So that's wrapping everything related to what we do at CARE and how we can support the IENs. I encourage every IEN actually to kind of start the process earlier before even arriving, if they are actually kind of permanent residents or they get the letter and they're planning to land in Canada. and also to reach out to us and reach out to all the settlement organization to help them as newcomers as well, because it's really a kind of cut off the process and make it shorter and shrink it, and as well reduce the challenges. So my three kind of strategies that I would love to share with all the IENs. So have an open mind, because I know we come like we have our credentials, we have our degrees, and it's hard to say we want to start all over as professionals, but having an open mind, it helps us to be open to the opportunities. Being adaptable to situations, that's very helpful as well, because things changes. What was actually kind of the requirements 10 years to 13 years ago are not the same at the moment. So always be optimistic, as I mentioned before by our colleagues on the call, and embrace technology and innovation, because with technology and innovation, there's a lot of information that could be shared, and make sure that you are getting those information legitimate and being actually credible, and try to reach to us, and to we're here to help you. That's all what I need to say. This is our website, and this is our yeah, you can actually go through the QR code or go to our website for stars and pass. And thank you so much for this opportunity. And I have to mention this, it's heartwarming to see on the chat, one of my students is on the call, and she's back from the other side of the world. She's from Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Sharjah. So that's really tells a lot, the story about being all over the world and moving from one country to the other. So please stay resilient and stay focused on the goal to have Canada your country home.
Thank you so much, Megan and Rola. We don't really have time for questions, but there is one quick question that I can, are permanent residents applicable to undertake this program?
Yes, pre and post arrival. So if you're a permanent resident and a nurse outside of Canada, you'd be joining PASS. If you are landed in Canada in Ontario, you would be joining STARS. If you're landed in Canada in a different province in Ontario, email me and I will refer you to your appropriate provincial supports.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your contact information. I just want to point out that all our speakers have shared contact information. Go back, rewatch this webinar, please, if you would like to find their contact information. So I thank all our speakers for keeping this presentation real, speaking about challenges and personal experiences and skills and expertise. And dear attendees, thank you for being at our web conference series presented in partnership with Access Employment and Career Pathway with CARE Center for Internationally Educated Nurses. So thank you, Hani, Carolina, Cindy, Masood, Shiny, Mariam, Megan, and Rola for joining us today. If you missed anything, like I said, this web conference is being posted on our website, so it can be rewatched. And if you have questions for Canadian Immigrant or suggestions of other topics to cover, either in an article or an interview, you can send it to us at info@canadianimmigrant.ca. So I'll end there, but just a quick reminder, our Canadian Immigrant fairs are back. So please go to our website if you want to attend a fair in person and speak to different organizations and agencies. Our upcoming event is happening in Toronto on June 22nd. So thank you to everyone and have a great day.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.